All right, ladies, in today's episode, we're talking about something that I hear from so many of you wanting to create businesses or to build out your business based on your zone of genius, your passions, and also making impact. Because this woman that and not to mention making money, because let's be honest, we need to have that payoff too. So, we are talking with a woman who has done all of that, and we're going to dive into her story and find out what she's doing. Her name is Claire Baggao, and she is the founder of Layline Financial. So, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
awesome.
Okay, so I have so many questions for you, Claire. But first, I want you to talk about the concept of Layline. You mentioned it to me before. What is why did you name your business Layline Financial?
Yes. So we are in a sailing community. We have a 145, it's a 47-foot sailboat. We actually took it for a little over a year, sailing around during COVID. So we're very sail centric. And so leyline is a sailing term. It's actually a racing term used to plot a course around an object, around an impediment, in the most efficient way. So I felt like it was a really good analogy for what we're trying to do with clients, trying to help them kind of get around obstacles and really chart their most efficient path.
Which brings me to my next question. So you worked you've been in the financial industry for a long time. And then you decided, I'm going to go start my own company. So talk to us about this journey and what inspired you to decide, you know what? Screw all this. I'm starting my own thing.
Yeah, I mean, it was almost by accident. I was working in institutional asset management. I was kind of on that like C-suite track. I had my daughter and I was like, wow, I really don't care that much about this. I mean, it just wasn't giving me purpose. And so I switched over to personal financial planning and I love it. I found my passion, my drive, it's an energizing thing for me to work with clients in this way. But I still wasn't really reaching my target audience with the business model that is currently out there. So I actually tried very hard to get other firms to hire me with the business model that I had proposed, explaining like how it would be profitable and if you could just take me on. And I really want to do this thing that's different. And not a lot of people were interested in this. So I ended up doing it on my own. Yeah.
And I want to back up a little bit too, because you were talking about, a lot of financial industries or, investments, etc. They want to be working with high net worth people because there's more payoff in general from that. But that's not where your heart was leading you. So talk to us about that, because and the reason why I want to go here is that for women, we do tend to lead with our heart. And sometimes that can take us in a direction that isn't necessarily profitable. But we do have this core value that's so important. And when we aren't living in our core value, we never feel at peace, right? Or
Yeah.
fulfilled.
Mhm.
And so, but also we need to make income, and it's okay to do that. So that's what I loved about
Can
your
do
story.
both.
And you can. So talk to us more about that part of it.
Yeah. And for people who are not in the financial kind of industry, the main way that a financial planner will make money is we manage the investment account and we take a percentage of that a year. You'll see that as what we call an AUM fee or an asset under management fee. And then you get the advice, right? Like it's kind of like, this is the best way we know how to do it. And then all the advice is really what's valuable. So how do we make the most money? We get people with the biggest accounts. And that's generally been the best way to do it for a while now, right? And that's going to be asset-based fees or asset management fee only. Those are like kind of the catchy words that you'll hear. And it is like the best that we had so far. What I'm doing and what a few other advisors are doing, not as many as I would hope, but it's soon, it's early. I mean, we are doing retainer-based models. So instead of paying us through the big pile of money that you may or may not have, you're doing like a monthly subscription. And so you're really paying for the advice itself instead of this asset that's over here that, again, you may or may not have. And it may not always be the best thing to have, right? Maybe you want to go buy a house. It's just, it's conflict free to make the actual planning advice to be the product. I hope that wasn't too jargony.
No. So, okay. So your concept is different than what most of the financial advisors do not use the retainer based, or did you say
Not a
retainer? You said retainer, right? Retainer based model. Now tell us who your ideal client is. Who lights you up? Who do you want to work with?
Honestly, like really engineering women. I would say engineering and not entrepreneurial, because sometimes we're in a firm and it's what we want to do, but it's that drive that you're like, okay, I love what I'm doing. How do I make sure that all the rest is taken care of? I love working with women like that. New families, intrepid families. I have a lot of expats, which is really fun. And so yeah, it pretty much spans the gamut. If you're looking to do something, excuse me, that's a little bit different, right? Not like working to 65 and retiring on a beach somewhere. I really fit that kind of mode of thinking, because I will work kind of outside of the box in a lot of strategies.
Now, what's been your biggest challenge that you've had so far? You were kind of in the safe bubble where you were working in corporate, right? And you had your paycheck and everything else taken care of, and I'm guessing it was fairly lucrative. And then you decided to go off on your own. So what has been sorry about the noise in the background. What has been the biggest challenge that has occurred for you since you have made this transition?
Yeah. I mean, well, in making the transition, by far the biggest hurdle I had was just everybody saying no, right? Like, this is not something that can work. You know, people have tried it and failed. You're never going to make enough money, et cetera, et cetera. And not being willing to take a chance. So I think that was the hardest part, is just people thinking like, this is the way that it is. And then after the transition, I'd say I wasn't able, I left my firm on really good terms, which is pretty much unheard of in my industry. And I wasn't able to take any clients with me. So that was the most painful part of it for me. My clients are like my friends and family. And when you're that engrossed in somebody else's success, it's hard to, detach from that. But so those two things, I would say.
So how have you gone, since you couldn't take your book of business,
Mhm.
how have you gone and gotten clients? What has been your marketing strategy for this?
Yeah. So, I mean, I wish there was a formula for this, but honestly, it was really working hard to be the best that I am in my industry, and really reaching deep in the day in, day out grueling tasks of just being a really good advisor. And then working with other individuals, other professionals who've seen that in me. And so when I opened my own firm, I had lots of people who knew the kind of work that I did, right? We shared a lot of clients. They had that experience. They were happy to give those referrals, and B, they knew a lot of people that weren't being serviced, right? These are people that they would have already referred to me, had I not had all these kind of stipulations about who I can work with, how much money you have, et cetera. So the world became very open, and I was lucky enough to have really good professional partners that I've been working with for a really long time that have been really supportive.
And then if you could give one piece of advice to someone who is building a business that is, they want it to be a large, very successful business, what's that piece of advice that you have for them?
Yeah, that's a great question.
And this can be based on, you being in the financial industry.
Mhm.
So, how do we set up our assets?
Yeah.
Or it could be a piece of business advice. You can answer this however you like.
Choose your own adventure.
Yes.
I'd say I think the best piece of advice I could give would be know what you're bad at. I didn't hire a bookkeeper as soon as I started, I thought I could do this on my own. I love numbers, right? I'm in finance. Knowing what you're bad at and being able to delegate that as soon as possible really frees you up to be able to do the things that you really thrive with. Yeah. And financially, I'd say, there's a lot of, I don't know, like generalized rules, like you have to have 6 months of expenses put away or et cetera, like all these like very large hurdles that feel like I can't do this yet. And I don't know that that's true, right? Like having a good idea of where your first couple months of income is going to come from is a good idea. But if you're going to wait around for that, like all those things to line up perfectly, you're probably going to wait forever. It's going to be a little scary for sure. But if you don't do it, then that'll be even worse,
Okay, so you all just heard that from a financial advisor. Take that, put it in your pocket, because I completely agree, Claire. Because when at the end of the day, when we are at the end of our lives and we are looking back, what are we going to be feeling good about? What are we going to regret? And not taking that action is what I consistently hear is what the regrets are.
Mhm.
And you figure it out from there. Listening to shows like this, talking with women like you, it's really where it's at. So thank you so much, Claire. Where can we find out more about you and about your business?
Yeah, you can find me at www.laylinefin.com, or on Instagram and Twitter at laylinefin.
All right, go check her out, especially if you're looking for someone to help you create all your financial plans. Where do you want to go in your life? What do you want it to look like? Claire, after doing research into you, that's something that I saw too. It's not that you need to know necessarily when you want to retire, but what's kind of the overarching, what would you like to create in your life?
Where can you make impact and where is your passion?
There you
Absolutely.
go.
Yeah.
Go check her out. Thank you so much for being here and sharing your wisdom and all of your brilliance.
Thank you so much for having me, Victoria. It was really great.
To be the best, you need to play with the best. You might not have your own personal high-level circle of women yet, but you can hang with us on the Female Millionaire Show. I'm Midori Verity, serial entrepreneur for over 25 years, and I interview badass female founders and cut through to what you really need to know. So in 20 minutes, you have what can take years to learn. If you're wanting to play bigger, come play with us. Join the female entrepreneur revolution today. Cheers.